GM, liquidity sensitive assets like Bitcoin and gold have been performing really strongly recently with all of the shakeups on the fiscal policy side. Besant buying back long end bonds, essentially running down the government's bank account to do so. Equities have been stalling. We're heading into midterms. Markets are setting up pretty interesting, especially for crypto. For those of you that have been around in these boring markets, you now get to enjoy these exciting markets. So let's get into it. Bitcoin, where is it in this rally? So we know leverage has been a big proponent of this rally. Previously, leverage was leading to Bitcoin having these dumps. As we can see, every time it gets to this danger level, which is roughly around that 284k mark of positions open, long and short. Whereas since Saylor sold Bitcoin, we actually saw the opposite. We saw price rise with leverage hitting these levels. And again, that happened. I warned about it. The day I saw it, the day I made this circle, I said, expect a big leverage wipe. You can check it out as a video from last week, Sunday. We got the big short squeeze. And positions are continuing to roll off on Bitcoin. It doesn't look done yet. You do have a big build-up of positions that can continue rolling off here. And quite interestingly, on the daily, we're seeing futures short in this consolidation, whereas spot are actually buying on net. There's a race to accumulate right now when it comes to CVD pressures here. And futures, we know, are not the leaders of price. It's what spot are doing that tends to lead what price does. So right now, futures are trying to bet against a rising market, which has a recipe for further leverage unwinds. Probably not this week though, because this week we have a big options expiry. We've got 6.3 billion notional value, 80k and 78k are the big levels. We've got big calls at those levels, so a lot of people betting on price being above 80k. That's why it's acted as resistance, because they'd be in the money if we are above 80k coming into Friday, 8 a.m. UTC. And vice versa with 78k, which is now the level we have to look at to the downside since Bitcoin's been selling off. And well, yesterday I made a video about this. I said, be careful here. Got a false breakout on Bitcoin. That was the day to really break out and continue if you were going to. And it rejected Friday's high, as I'll show you here. So Bitcoin had a rejection yesterday again of Friday's high. And it looks to be rolling over here after a couple failed attempts to get above Friday's high, smash above 80k. It looks like 80k, okay, is going to be resistance until Friday. Now, again, for bulls to be in control, get above Friday's high and momentum can continue on again. Looks less likely now though. And one thing Bitcoin hasn't done is take the previous day's low. So if you see Bitcoin actually lose this level here at 77.8k, well, that would be a warning sign and tell me that we're going back towards 77k for a test of this gap over here. And maybe that's where we bottom and form some sort of higher low. Very possible as well. Otherwise, if it's going to be, a little bit more violent, then you have got your range low here at 75k, which you'd expect Bitcoin to come back to and just continue consolidating, really. There's nothing bearish here. It's just a failed breakout attempt. People bet on immediate continuation this week, and it's not arrived. So potentially you get something like this, more consolidation, or if it's a bit more bullish, that would just be from higher up. I'll be watching this wick over here, this general area for that potential higher low if we do lose yesterday's low. So that's what I'm looking at on Bitcoin here. It's really a choppy market on the lower time frames after those failed breakouts. And that's why it's so important to either just wait for Bitcoin on higher time frames to come back to some of these support levels over here where it's previously accumulated before higher, if not the range lows, before looking for long, since you have got that clear false breakout and no reclaim of Friday's high to invalidate it. So everything has been pointing towards consolidation this week, which is fine. Market's consolidating after a very big 3-day move. Over 20% gains in 3 days, and now markets are going sideways, which is a positive sign that they haven't reversed, because you guys will know, if a breakout fully reverses, that's not a strong sign. Why? Well, because right now, what's everyone on Twitter sentiment-wise feeling? Anyone who didn't buy Bitcoin in all the places I was telling you to buy, all the bottom signals I was telling you in my videos, anyone who's sidelined right now, what are they all saying? They're saying, I'm going to buy the next retest of 70k or the next retest of the high 60s, whatever. So the thing is, if you actually just give them that straight away, it's not a sign of strength to do that. Give them exactly what they want. This would actually not be what you want to see as a Bitcoin bull. A sign of strength would be to just chop and accept at these highs as you're doing right now. And if we go to a line chart, despite all the noise, it is just making higher highs. Would have to make another higher high above 79k today to keep it going. But it is just grinding higher on a close basis at least. It's the wicks that really create a bit more noise over here, as you can see. But acceptance at these levels, consolidation, however it's going to look, is good. And that will be your leg one. And then you're looking for leg two to come after this, since this is where we are stopping off, it seems. So what does that do? Well, you consolidate here. You don't quite give a dip deep enough for those sidelined in this breakout to buy. You then go higher to a place where they're going to all FOMO in. Maybe that's somewhere over here around 85, 86k. So a lot of people saying clear 83 and bull market begins. That can often be the place where a lot of people also get trapped and can't take it anymore and get back in. And then that's where you then go on a bit more of a flush on Bitcoin. And the real place to buy is if you actually have patience for the higher low. If Bitcoin, as I've been saying in all my videos, if Bitcoin is going to make some sort of higher high here, then you just get in on the higher low. That's your next best time to buy on high time frame. And if it's not going to do this, and maybe we are just going to be really choppy and just distribute here, then you've got a range for Bitcoin. And the next best time to buy will be when it's back at its range low in this scenario here. And range low support has been, of course, all of this accumulation Bitcoin's done between 57 and 67k. But a lot of people want that right now. So I don't see that happening anytime soon if it is going to happen. That's what you got to remember. So consolidation right now seems most likely. When we look at Bitcoin dominance, it is pretty strong, has been pretty strong. We'll also be taking a look at some altcoins today, so stay tuned for the rest of the video. Check out Hype, Zcash, Solana, to name a few. Bitcoin dominance has been rising. It's been doing exactly what you want it to do, despite a little bit of weakness. Doesn't matter when you got Bitcoin dominance gaining strength of it and not altcoins gaining strength of it, because that's a healthy market for Bitcoin. Really good to see it continuing to uptrend here. And that means, dips are for buying if we're going to get dips. So any moves towards the lower end of the consolidation, likely one to actually be buying. Whether it leads to, trend or not, or rejection at those highs, it's probably a decent opportunity there to play the rest of whatever this rally has left in it. So that's what I'll be looking at when it comes to Bitcoin. Now, I wanted to also share this with you. One thing we've seen is funding rates on Bitcoin. They're not crazy at all. 0.01 is the neutral funding rate on exchanges, which is basically a way of seeing longs and shorts, who's getting overexposed a little bit, etc. It's at neutral levels despite this big rally. And it's, no higher than where it was in the peaks of this current bear market that we're in. Same levels. So definitely not, any over long exposure here right now on Bitcoin. Doesn't have the signs of froth or a top that you'd usually see, or excess leverage. And when it comes to altcoins at the bottom here, it's even more of the same picture. I mean, alts have been flicking still in negative funding. And it's previously been in negative funding throughout the bear market. So again, people aren't exactly over allocated to crypto yet, in my opinion. And we see, stocks are still getting the big volume when it comes to coin allies. We've got, not many crypto names actually here. And I don't think that's what you're going to see when this rally's actually getting frothy and topping out. I think you're going to see crypto names dominating and all the volume there. So can it cool down? Can it pull back? Yeah, sure. I'm sure Bitcoin pulling back, if it's going to lose yesterday's low and consolidate like this, that move alone can crush a lot of altcoins when Bitcoin dominance is rising. And it will allow the daily bands to catch up. Either the daily bands catch up to price or price catches up to the daily bands. That's how it always works after any of these big kind of breakaway moves that you get during these phases in the market. So I'll try to show you some other examples if any of these charts will want to load. But we'll move on to some altcoins. We'll take a look at Hype quickly, unless this wants to load. Nope. So looking at Hype has been rejecting this 82.59 level pretty consistently, although also not breaking down. So it's still holding on to these H4 bands. I mean, when you start losing those bands will be the biggest sign for me that Hype's coming for a flush back to this 72 level. That's the range low that I'm interested in for any mean reversion buys on Hype, as I've been saying. If it can break out, today's the day for it. If you look at the daily chart on the right now, you can see all of these wicks trying to break out. That's sell pressure. That's someone taking the other side and winning so far. So, any bulls who have been buying in this upper end need to get a breakout on pretty quickly. So any 4-hour closes above 82.59, I'd be interested for a textbook breakout and continuation. Am I confident in it? No. Not sure if that's actually going to happen. Of course, we react to it, but a lot of rejections over here on this chart, and it just seems to me like this big liquidation on Saturday isn't allowing price to go much higher before that gets some sort of retest and we continue ranging. But for a lot of these altcoins, it's a similar picture. It looks like they're just waiting to see what direction does Bitcoin take. Is it going to come back to those daily bands, or is it going to go for its own breakout? And well, to show you some examples with those daily bands, you can see here, obviously this is an example that everyone's looking at right now. Forget that it was the bear market bottom. I'm not trying to show you that. Just trying to show you these daily bands on these big breakaway moves. Either price starts slowing down like it does here and the bands come back to it, or you get the opposite where you get more of a pullback into the bands. So something like this, price accelerates away, then you dip into the bands. Typically get one of those scenarios whenever you have one of these big impulsive moves. So right now these bands have been catching up. They're at almost 75k already, so just wouldn't be surprised. This is what we're going to see for the next few days before a proper breakout on Bitcoin. And that can mean a little bit more pain for some of these altcoins in the shorter term. Hype. I don't imagine a 2026 pivot's a good level to bid, but deviations below it, interesting to me. Solana kind of shows the picture of what range trading on altcoins is going to look like already. Lovely rejection of the range high. Now moving down, here's your range low. At the bottom end of this wick. Untested. So Sol heads back down to there and then breaks out later on. It's still all good, but how many people are going to get chopped up in some of these down moves that have maybe FOMO'd in bad places? Again, it doesn't seem like there's froth in the crypto market yet, but small pullbacks can happen if price is going to find resistance. It's as simple as that. A lot of these charts on high time frame are still quite heavy, so you can get a pullback before moving higher later on. Would be perfectly normal to see. And then you probably got one more leg before a distribution, and then we'll have to relook at these charts again, I imagine. So range lows at 88. That's what I'll be looking at on Solana, and to check out Zcash, some other names, one we was trading yesterday in the Discord. Everything's so unbelievably slow as soon as I record a video. There we go. Zcash. So, really nice impulsive move down yesterday. 800, round number level. Acted as support once. It's not going to be your generational buy if it keeps having to come back to it. That was the thesis. So now it's broke through. Back to its November high. Which is, again, retesting a breakout level for the second time. Because you already retested it on Sunday over here. Now you're retesting it over and over again. It just seems like these altcoins are heavy and want to come form a range around this liquidation low that I've been talking about. So Zcash towards 700, I wouldn't be surprised. And that's probably the next best area to look for a mean reversion long. And that then just forms your range for a little bit. Because the momentum setups have failed. It's just as simple as that. Biggest chance for Bitcoin to break out would have been Monday, Tuesday, as I was saying in my videos. That didn't happen. Pump is another one. Momentum's gone. Just classic crypto. Does it big momentum rally and then you get your chasers. Don't think these rallies are over. I think there's one more leg to come in it, but probably some ranging for a little bit. Wouldn't be surprised if Pump comes back towards its own Saturday wick. And from there, you see it range, and maybe that's where it kicks off its next rally from. So Pump is another one to be watching for this kind of setup over here, which will all just look like high time frame pullbacks on the daily. And it will be so obvious in hindsight. It's one of those things why you got to kind of pinch yourself and make sure you're never getting overly emotional over these charts. Just play them for what they come. So, start trade. VVV, another one we've been watching. Starting to stall out now. After having a pretty nice run at these lows. So, where did VVV bottom? Well, it bottomed exactly at this accumulation zone that I've been saying on the channel for weeks now. It's not, crazy call of mine. It's just simple price action. This is where whales last accumulated, smart money accumulated, boring sideways price action. And it marked up from there. So they take profit, take profit, take profit. And even on the downside, they take profit. But they're not going to take profit when it's back at their average entry. So that's where you see price bottom out a lot of the time. So it wicked this area pretty perfectly. It's formed a nice low, high, higher low. It's broke that structure into a higher high. So something like VVV, it's really nice because it has a target now of this high here at the minimum at 21.4. It's definitely running into a bit of resistance here. Again, same theme. This wick from Saturday on all these altcoins that liquidate a bunch of longs. It's creating a bit of heaviness on the chart. Price likes to retest big liquidation inefficiencies in the chart. Why? Who cares? Your job is not to understand why in the markets, is to react and build systems and exploit the edges of patterns you identify in the market through the systems you build. If VVV can do something like this, that would be pretty interesting for a long perspective. And on the daily, that would look something like this. So it's had a really nice move, but momentum is definitely stalling out. As you can see, we're not breaking out anymore. You've got big wicks and failed breakouts. Yeah, expect it to come back towards here. And that would just be a retest again of this upper end of this consolidation. Be a retest of that Saturday wick. You wouldn't, of course, want to see any of your altcoins go below their breakouts. Go below your breakouts, and that's a sign of weakness. And some alts will. So that's why relative strength is very important right now. But overall, if it can just form a higher low, in the last place everyone was liquidated, well, I think a lot of people are going to lose their minds on short-term downside and miss the forest for the trees when you got targets higher still on something like VVV at the minimum, just to hit the highs and fail, let alone for, continued trend and breakouts that it's been doing, let alone, going higher for maybe one more leg. And maybe that's all it's going to do. Who knows? So these are some areas to be looking for potential setups around, since pullbacks seem to be on the horizon. Let's see. 78k looks like it's getting lost already on Bitcoin. So if we check out lower time frames, what we're seeing. Yeah, so almost definitely now you're going to see yesterday's low lost. I think that just further confirms what I've been saying. Consolidation on Bitcoin has had a false breakout. This week's not the one for momentum. Is the weekly candle still green? Just about. But if that starts flipping red now as well, yeah, you're in a consolidation week for Bitcoin. So not the time to be longing for breakouts right now. The time was to try yesterday and Monday. Didn't get it. So back to mean reversion. We look towards range lows on Bitcoin and some of these altcoins, which have the ability to pull back into some zones that we've talked about today. So seeing glimpses of that starting to begin. But remember, they're still in these high and higher low formations. So next high low should set up continuation for another leg. That's what you'd be looking at, unless these alts are literally just going to have one leg and go lower. That's the only alternative. If we look at something like Total 3, but a big move off the lows. So, if that's going to be it, then you'll just revert the whole thing. But if we're actually going to have some follow through on this rally, which we haven't had in a very long time. I mean, this rally, you buy the dip. Nope, you're wrong. Let's take a look. This rally, you buy the dip. Nope, it's just distribution. This rally was like your last time a year ago where buying the first dip actually led to another leg. And before then, in a bit more your bullish conditions, you get more of this. Leg one, buy the dip, breaks out, buy the dip, breaks out, buy the dip, breaks out, buy the dip, and the breakout stopped working and it tops out. We've had nothing like that for a very long time, so the setup's there for it if we're going to have it. Don't see the signs of froth and euphoria just yet. See a lot of people sidelined, so I wouldn't be surprised if we do see these altcoins form some sort of range consolidation. These wicks are just too exciting to just leave with the amount of short stops that are going to be resting at them. So looking for those ranges to form. Look for those range lows, those high lows, depending on the strength. And that's how I'll be mapping out this market at the moment. So that's what I'm seeing across the board. Consolidation, it looks like. We'll leave a link to Yubit below in the video. If you download the app and sign up, you get $200 free to trade with. Very simple, plus lifetime VIP 4 fees. So make sure to check them out. You also get absolutely everything to trade on this platform with a really nice UI. So you've got Bitcoin, you've got altcoins, you've got metals, stocks, all in one place. Plus, if you like traditional brokerage trading, they've got that too. So you can get some really low spreads, really low fees across TradFi trading as well here, and a lot more options with Forex, etc. So make sure to check them out. And also, if you enjoyed the video, make sure to smash a sub, like, and comment. Really appreciate you all joining me for this, and we'll see you guys in the next one. GM.